We're live. Welcome everyone to the Ubuntu Community Q&A. I'm here today with David Planella, and together we're going to answer all the questions you might have. First of all, if you're joining us through ubuntuonair.com, there's this video widget which you're hopefully looking at. Below that, there's a chat widget, ISE widget. You just pick your favorite nickname, hit the connect button, and then you can ask all the questions you might have, give feedback, suggestions, whatever. We're happy to take all of it. Just make sure that you prefix your questions with question in capital letters so we can more easily pick them up. And it looks like we have a bunch of people already sitting there with loads and loads of questions. Before we start, David, do we have any announcements, anything important we should probably talk about before we get straight to it?
Of course, yeah. So lots of cool things happening in the community this week. I think the most important ones perhaps are the ones that have been happening around core apps. For those of you who are not familiar with core apps or with the core apps project, this is essentially the set of apps that are pre-installed on Ubuntu phones. These are mostly developed by community volunteers. Apps like weather, like notes, like calculator, clock, and many others are entirely developed actually by community volunteers. This week we've had big updates on the Reminders app. The Reminders app is a notes app that can work standalone as an offline note taker with advanced editing mode as well, and it also can connect to the Evernote cloud as well, which is quite cool. And it gives you access to offline mode to all of your notes. So you can edit them locally, you can upload them later, and then you can also edit them from the web and then get them onto your phone. We've had quite a lot of development on the app itself, but we hadn't had an update on the store for quite a while. We were working on stabilizing some of the code and making sure that we addressed all of the critical bugs. So yesterday, actually, thanks to the work of Riccardo Padovani, Michael Zanetti, and also Alan Pope, we got this new version uploaded to the store. This means you're getting to use the new edit mode with rich text editing capabilities, and also the offline mode as well, which is pretty cool because it not only works for offline notes, it also works for Evernote notes, meaning that the initial download of notes from the Evernote server might take a while if you got a huge collection of notes, but subsequently, as they are cached offline, the response from the server is much quicker. So yeah, that's what's been happening on the Reminders app, and we've also had a big update on the Doc Viewer app. I was just trying to find a really cool screenshot that we got the other day for it. I'm not sure if my backlog goes that far. I'm gonna try, but in any case, a few days ago we uploaded the new Doc Viewer. The visuals are really good. It looks much better, and also it has a very cool feature whereby if you put any PDF documents on your documents folder, for example, if you connect your phone by USB to your PC and you copy over some documents, Doc Viewer scans automatically the documents folder and shows you the list of documents that you've got in there, which is quite handy. Also, it's got Content Hub capabilities, which means if you've got, for example, document, PDF document that you put on your reminders app on a note. You can open that note, then you can click on the PDF, and then you can open it through the doc viewer, which is really cool. Also, another killer feature that Stefano versus Nazi, the developer of the doc viewer, added, or rather has been starting to work on, is on having support for reading different types of Office documents, meaning Microsoft formats, or more interestingly for us open source geeks, open Office formats. This is something that came as a spur of the moment initiative last week, and I think it was in less than 24 hours, Stefano had already working prototype, and he sent us a couple of screenshots on it. So
incredible.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah, the other thing that I'd mentioned from the log viewer is that Stefano has been heroically been the only developer on this app for the last few months. He's doing an awesome job, but he'd welcome also the help from other contributors as well. So if you are if you've got development skills and you'd like to contribute to the default apps that are pre-installed on the phone, and you'd like to get to know really nice, talented, and cool people who are working on this, the Doc Viewer is one project where it's worth joining.
Where can people find out more about how to join the Core Apps project? What kind of programming languages they use? You know, what people need to know before joining a team. What can they do?
So I think the easiest thing, if they are already on IRC, they can join the #Ubuntu-app-devel IRC channel, and just ping myself, DPM, or ping Popey, that's Popey. And particularly Popey, he's been working more closely with all of the teams of Core App developers, and either one of us will help you get started. You can also go to the Ubuntu wiki. I'm just going to paste the link in here. So let me just go to on air. If you go to wiki.ubuntu.com/touch/coreapps, where touch is capital T and coreapps is capital C and capital A, you'll find all of the information on how to get started. You'll find the developer guide as well, and you'll find the URLs for all of the core apps. In terms of the languages, I think the basic requirement is probably QML. On some apps we're using C++, but I think it's mostly QML. Most of the code for core apps is QML, which is really easy to grasp as well, even if you're new to development.
Brilliant. I think it's absolutely fantastic if you can write a few lines of code and later on see this on phones and then tablets around the globe, everywhere, like by default. It's just pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I think this is I mean, there's lots of things going on in core apps. If you want to know more in more detail, there's the weekly engineering updates on Wednesdays. I think it's 1400 UTC. Or I'd say stay tuned on Ubuntu On Air for the updates. And there, Alan Pope explains in detail what's going on in the world of core apps and all the cool features that have been landing.
You should probably show a few screenshots or show the work in an emulator or something.
Ah, yeah, good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can actually show the log viewer on my phone, but I'm not sure if one can really appreciate it on the Hangout. Let me see. In any case, I say if you go to popey.com and I think it's poppy.com/blog. He'll confirm or not. Alan just wrote an email, blog post about all what's going on in Core Apps recently, so you might want to check it out. Let me see if I can see the viewer in there. So yeah, you can see all of, I'm not sure if you can see it well in here. That's the great list of all of the documents that I've got on my documents folder, and also in list mode as well. These have been scanned automatically from the viewer. All right. Okay. So, shall we just start with questions? I'd like to talk a bit more about MWC later on, but people have been already starting asking questions, so we might just answer them.
So, Akiva asked half an hour ago, where else besides Reddit can I inform people to come on over? I think we just posted to Facebook, Google+, and Twitter. Thanks a lot for posting on Reddit. What else?
So there's one at just 1 minute past 5, where Jess Crags asked, question, who was first, the chicken or the egg? Well, you said all questions.
Yeah, maybe there's a website on the internet where somebody explained this in a really good fashion. I don't know.
Okay. All right. So next one is was from Hybrid Graphics.
There's a problem with hybrid graphics.
As in conceptually, or?
No. So the question is, my laptop has a hybrid graphics. It is HDP045TX, blah, 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 blah. 2 graphics cards, one Nvidia, another one Intel, and the Nvidia card doesn't work. Yeah, so what Akiva said makes a lot of sense. Asking on #Ubuntu is probably going to help, or on askubuntu.com. Great site. Your question will be looked at very quickly. It's probably the best way to find out. Also, to get information to how to debug the problem. But what's already good is that you tried both Trusty and Utopic. That makes a lot of sense. To just, especially in the world of hardware, things change very quickly. So it makes sense to use a newer Ubuntu version and try the newer kernel or X drivers to fix the issue. Right. DBit asked, how comparable is the Android with Ubuntu Mobile? Well,
broad question.
I guess there's a lot of commonalities, like both easily understandable user interface, although I would say that Ubuntu on phones, if you use it for just a little time, if I give my phone to random people and they figure out how to use the different gestures, they like it a lot. Like they would go back to their phone and try the gestures there. So that's one thing that is very, very sticky. It's easy to use. And what I personally, one of the top reasons why I like Ubuntu is that what we do is open source. Like everyone can have a look at it, work, play around with it, and figure out what's happening on the device. And also our security model, like all the apps are confined, and you're not going to see an app getting installed on your device and asking for 1,000,002 permissions. That's nothing that happens with the Ubuntu phone. Instead, whenever it needs access to, for example, your location, it's going to ask, specifically going to ask you for, can I know your location? And it's not just going to assume that you waive all your rights and permissions away the moment when you install the app. And to me, those are probably the most important things. And then on convergence and lots of other cool stuff. What would you say? Like, I guess we can only just list a few things each. we're not going to have enough time to do the comprehensive list.
Exactly, that's how cool it is. We cannot stop stop talking about it. But yeah, I mean, I think I'd highlight. I wouldn't highlight many different things than Daniel. I mean, I myself, my personal feature, the one that I like most is the gestures, and in particular the right edge. I find it really cool because it is not only flashy, to be honest, but it's really useful as well when you use it to switch apps. I remember, and again, this is just my personal opinion. When I used to use Android to switch apps, not with the latest version of Android, that's been simplified a bit more and it's made a bit easier. But like in previous versions of Android, where you had that list of windows, and you had to click on the running task button, then open the task button. And then on the tasks window, you had to choose one of the windows. I found that a bit cumbersome. Whereas with Ubuntu, you just swipe from the right, select the window, and that's it. And also, you might have seen the video that Will Cook, the desktop team manager, sent last week as part of MWC, where you could see the beginnings of real convergence on a tablet, where he was showing how to switch between touch mode and by touch mode and I don't know how to call it, desktop mode perhaps, when he switched a mouse and then he started using desktop apps on it. I think that's going to be incredibly useful, and also the fact that it's the same code and it's the same concepts. It's not, when you see an Ubuntu phone, you recognize it's Ubuntu because you've been using the desktop before. But yeah.
That's absolutely brilliant. Good times.
Yeah.
All right. Ali1234 asked, how did systemd transition go? I heard all the flavor ISOs broke. So far, so good. Like, I upgraded my Vivid machine. Everything is still working. Everything is fine. I didn't hear about flavor ISOs getting broken, but given that we didn't have any release right now or beta release or anything like that, it's a daily ISO that broke, and given the impact of the general change from upstart to systemd, I think that's understandable if ISOs break for a day or two. I trust that the best people are on the case. Yeah, so far so good. Like it's a really huge change, and what's nice is that people like Pity have been working on this, Martin Pitt and many others. But what's really nice is that they also introduced a lot of checks, like automated testing. So in the future, we're going to know if something will be able to boot or will be broken or anything. We're going to know that beforehand. So with this gigantic change now, we're going to have a lot of safe checks in the future. So I think that's pretty good. Question from the best. Will there be more useful info on the lock screen of the Ubuntu phone in the future? Dave, do you know anything about that?
No, I mean, I know that, I mean, right now the info, so the welcome screen is, so just let me give you some context first. Right now, one of the big focuses that we've got, other than supporting the BQ builds that are already in the market, is the Meizu builds as well. So there's always a mixture or balance between features and enablement work or supporting another device. And right now, as far as I know, the welcome screen won't change for the next phone, and it's not a priority to change it. However, I know that in the past there was quite a lot of interest from quite a lot of work in the design team on the welcome screen, and I'm sure in the future you'll see changes, just perhaps not in the immediate future though. I also saw some people from some community folks sending designs, their own designs for the welcome screen, which I thought was very cool. And this could be also inspiring for the design team to add more useful features to the welcome screen.
Cool. All right. Question from Akiva. What core apps have DPM and DeHelbach been working on?
Wow. I'd say all of them, actually. I mean, to be clear, the credit here, when I say all of them, the credit here is on the individual volunteer developers who have been doing the bulk of the work. They've been doing 99% of the work. I'd be happy if I had done like 1% at all. The work that I did in the beginning was to help bootstrap the teams, to work on some features to either fix a bug or scratch an itch. I was much more involved in core apps in the past. That changed when I actually became a manager and started working more on spreadsheets, cracking the whip on these guys and things like that.
Phone calls.
Exactly, phone calls, all the fun stuff. But I'm still involved in core apps every now and then, but generally mostly on my free time as well.
Yeah. Yeah, for me it's been similar. I've touched quite a few of the core apps, but it was mostly just build fixes or when it came to packaging, that kind of stuff. So that's things I've been working on. And the help app. If at the point when we make it a core app, I will have worked quite a bit on that one. And we're getting closer and closer and closer. It's really nice to see this coming together. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. So we're going to have a help app on the phone and on devices and elsewhere. We want to share basic knowledge of how to use the phone, suggestions how to use apps, which apps to use, that kind of stuff. We want to get this all into the hands of users pretty quickly, so they can all benefit from our collective knowledge. Also, we wanted to make it easy to edit this, to translate this, and to have an online build as well. So we would put it up on help.ubuntu.com or somewhere else. And it wasn't quite easy to find a tool which solved all of the things for us, but we're getting closer and closer. So we just landed some automated testing. We also landed some really nice fixes from David to make everything look a bit nicer and make it easier to use. So yeah, that's something I worked on almost exclusively in the last 2 or 3 weeks. If you're interested in HTML, in adding content, in translating stuff, just ping Dave or me on IRC. Would be great to have you on the team. Okay, another question from Akiva. Has Meizu had a release yet? I guess it depends what you mean by release. Because they released a lot of phones and lots of other devices already, but
so yeah, I mean, we haven't had any public releases for the Meizu phone yet. We announced them and we showed them at MWC. We had both BQ and Meizu devices on the stand. But in terms of the official release that will be on the markets, we don't have that one yet, but they will be very, very soon there. So again, stay tuned for updates on this.
right.
Think yes. Next one is again from Kiva ThinkPad. Have you guys tried or seen Windows 10? Any thoughts? I myself haven't tried it. The feedback I've heard though from people who are actually at MWC is that that it was nice to see this kind of similar thing that they've got to conversions, but it was not quite there yet. It wasn't a seamless switch. That's what I've heard. I'm just forwarding it. And it's not something that I've tried of seeing myself live. I'm not sure, Daniel, have you seen or tried the Windows 10?
No,
device?
even less than David. Okay, I think next one is from Exorion. Is there going to be more gaming on Ubuntu?
It depends on what you mean. If you're talking about the Ubuntu desktop right now, you can install on Steam. You can play many games from Steam. In terms of the phones, we're still about bootstrapping let's say the gaming catalog on the store. We're getting more apps being added every day. Certainly, there are the SDK has got the capabilities for it. We've got OpenGL hardware acceleration, and I'm sure that we will see more and more games coming to Ubuntu.
It's also really nice that people have started to work on getting like HTML5 games into the store, or people working on libraries like Bacon 2D, physics engine, that kind of stuff. People actually thinking about what else do we need? How can we make this work? And yeah, I'm sure there's going to be loads and loads and loads of games pretty soon.
Yeah. Daniel, I think the next one is for you.
What? No, I don't think so. Akiva is just crazy. Okay, he asked me if I could don a curly mustache next time you do a Q&A. I don't think so. Okay, next question from Wakari. Will Unity 8 allow customization through third-party apps like Unity Tweak and Compass Config Settings Manager? I would like, for example, to enable hot corners which aren't available by default in Unity 7. I would suggest you bring this up with the Unity development team. That's probably the best place. Like, for example, if there are tools to define hot corners or stuff like that, and they are following some like free desktop specification or something like that, it would be easier to also make this happen in Unity, like if they're following a certain standard. What we've seen in the past with configuration options is that a lot of people like them. Like, people want to customize everything, but this comes at a very high cost. Like, if you have loads and loads of options, you have to make sure that you maintain them through various releases. And for example, what do you do if some feature goes away and is replaced by something almost the same, like, how do you transition this? Like, it just opens cans of worms like crazy. So I would suggest that you bring this up with the Unity folks very early, explain what your use case is, and maybe they're going to follow some specification there is, or make it happen somewhere else. Question from Logcat7. Around when will we see Unity 8 ready for everyday usage on the desktop? That's a good question. I personally haven't played around with it too much in the last time. I started every now and then just to see where things stand. But maybe it's time to to do this for a couple of days, like to really try to work with it, like fully work with it, and to see which issues there are, because I can imagine that it's not going to be like crazy amounts of issues. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's the main thing to start testing it. I mean, as Daniel is saying, you can actually already use the Unity 8 session, but yeah, there's still quite a lot of work to be done. It's difficult to say. I think we should probably invite someone from the Unity team on the next Q&A.
Good one.
So they can answer all of those questions in more detail. But yeah, I mean, I'd recommend you to try it. If you go to, actually, we have the wiki page where on how to install Unity 8, right? If I remember correctly. Unity 8 desktop. Yeah, this page, I'm just going to paste it on Ubuntu on Air. wiki.ubuntu.com/Unity8 desktop, where you find instructions on how to safely run this as a separate session so that it doesn't affect your current one, and where you can see what it looks like right now and test it and help reporting bugs.
Yeah, the good thing is all the stuff is in the archive already, so it's not like you have to do something crazy to make it work. If you're on Vivid, you can install the Ubuntu Desktop Next package. Everything will be pulled in, and you can just select it when you log in through LightVM. Or as David said, there's also a separate ISO which you can boot up and then start the session there.
All right, then. So next one from, oh, sorry, Daniel.
No, next question from Akiva. Have you ever had a virus on Ubuntu? How about you, Dave?
What's that? Virus?
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, I still remember the times when I was running Debian. It was probably, I don't know, 12, 13 years ago or something. And I had this check rootkit package installed, and I always wanted to know, like, did something happen on my machine? Is everything still safe? But it had a bug, so every now and then it would print out, like, there's a rootkit on your machine, like, get worried. But it was just a bug, so that was the closest I ever got to having a virus or anything on my machine, so answer is no.
A fake virus, okay. All right, that's the next question from Lockcat7. Is there anything being done to improve the performance of Unity on older hardware? So one thing to be aware of Unity is that Unity right now is, or Unity 7, I should say, is in maintenance mode. Unity will still be supported for quite a while. Sorry, Unity 7 will still be supported for quite a while because it's part of the last Ubuntu LTS, long-time support release. It was Ubuntu 14.04. So yeah, it will still be maintained for at least 5 years, or a bit less now, since it was like about a year that when 14.04 came out. So yeah, it is maintained, but the priority right now, the work focus is on Unity 8. So just to summarize, in principle, no, there won't be any work to improve the performance on older hardware.
Okay. Another question by Lockcat7: is encryption available under Ubuntu Touch? So yeah, generally encryption is available, like all the encryption libraries, SSL and so on, TLS, all that stuff is installed and working. If you mean like an option to have all your data on the device encrypted, I don't think that's enabled just yet. I know there was talk about it, but I don't know exactly where things stand. David, do you know anything more about it?
No, I know. I think I know exactly the same. I know that that there was we were just about to add encryption, but then there were some security concerns that needed to be addressed before we could enable it fully. And I don't think there was enough time for doing this before the first release.
Right. Okay. Here's a question from DS McGuire. What is the best app for Ubuntu Touch currently written in HTML5? So one app I know and which I like a lot is Green Mayong.
Good one. Yeah.
It's a really well done game. It really works well. So that would be mine.
Yeah, I picked that one too as well. I can't think of any other one right now, other than the fact that we're writing also the help app in HTML. So as Daniel said, if you want to jump in and help us on that one, yeah, feel free to ping Daniel, the Holbach, or myself, the PM on IRC.
Yeah. Or you could have a look at in the software store and just type in HTML5 and see what you get. I can imagine that that's a very old school kind of thing. Like a lot of websites which explain open source projects start with this is a blah 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 written in this language. So I don't know. A lot of programmers find that like really interesting information. So I could imagine that a lot of people are going to put it into the package descriptions as well. So that might also be an option.
I think the next one is from Dragon77. How does the future of the SDK and API look like? Well, that's again it's a really good question, a broad one though. I think for this one to be answered in detail, we would need perhaps to invite Zoltan Valok from the SDK team. However, perhaps one highlight that I can tell you about already is that we're looking at adding static routes to the SDK. This means essentially that so just to give a bit of context, routes are the way in which we build applications that need compiling on the SDK on another architecture on the desktop. That means, for example, that you can build a phone app on the desktop. Phones are generally ARM HF or ARM architecture, and yeah, essentially you're just building on the desktop. Right now, to create a chroot is essentially an isolated mini installation of Ubuntu with only the essentials that you need to do the build. And the way it works right now is that we create them on the fly. So this means downloading quite a lot of Macs from the internet and having to update them every now and then. Given the fact that we now have a stable framework API out there, we've got the possibility of having static roots, meaning that they won't change over time, or they won't change over time that much. And to make it easy for app developers, what we're making it possible is to download this static root on your system as a, I don't know, I think it's just a tarball right now, and then that root will stay like that without having to worry about updates. So in a nutshell, it's going to make the life of app developers a lot easier. So yeah.
Do you know if? Sorry.
No. So go on.
Do you know if these change roots are also going to be used for Snappy stuff? Like it would be a similar use case. You would basically put up a click package or Snappy built for ARMHF or for other architectures?
Yeah,
You know,
I don't know to be honest, but that opens another interesting question. It'd be good to have Snappy support on the SDK to be able to build Snappy apps, even if we cannot. I mean, you can put mostly anything into a Snappy app, but I think the regular cases where you have some, I don't know, Go code inside a Snappy app could well be supported in the SDK.
right?
I think there's something to mention to Zoltan and his
Yeah.
guide. Yeah.
Yeah, we should do more of these Q&A sessions. Like we get loads and loads of good ideas from them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, I lost track for a little bit. Here's a question by Yosarian UK. Sorry, oh no, here it is. Can the Ubuntu kernel packages please put the parentheses obsolete OSS sound modules back in the kernel? At present, there are some old games which I can only have sound if I recompile the kernel, which is annoying. Nearly all other distros keep the OSS modules in the kernel. I would just have a chat with the folks in hash ubuntu-kernel. Just ask them, or bring it up on their mailing list. I think it's kernel team at lists.ubuntu.com. Just have a chat with them. Maybe give them a few references to what other distros do, or bug reports, or mailing list discussion. Like, I would just bring it up with them. There are no Ubuntu kernel packages talking to you right now. Okay. I'm quite glad I didn't have to compile kernels in the last 10 years, or maybe even more.
Yes, I am as well.
Okay, question from Exorion. More gaming questions, yay! Does it depend to the developers for games to be released on Ubuntu desktop? Because recent big games aren't coming out on Ubuntu. Is it possible to work with big companies like Ubisoft or Blizzard, or any way to help people developing games on Ubuntu? So I wouldn't say that this is quite true. Like Steam, it was very important to be on Ubuntu, and the Steambox is also powered by Linux. So to them it matters a lot, and it's also a good source of games. I can't remember quite the numbers, but it was loads and loads and loads of games. And in general, being cross-platform is important to a lot of gaming studios. Maybe not the biggest ones, but lots of them. For example, what's it called again? Do you remember the name of the company of that does all the Mono stuff?
Yes.
But yeah, so Mono is quite popular in the gaming scene. Sorry.
I'll find out. It's a
Oh, yeah.
company. Yeah.
Yeah, because Mono is quite popular in the gaming scene, just because people can write code. They can write their code, for example, in C#, and have it run on the Mac, have it run on Windows and on Linux. So I think this is important. But on the other hand, for really huge games to be tested on multiple platforms, it always comes with a cost. So I could imagine that that's holding a few of the big names back to also bring their games onto Ubuntu. Is there anything more you would say about the topic of games?
Not that much. I mean, I found that it's Xamarin. I couldn't remember the name. They've got a really cool SDK as well. I mean, if we've got some ex-Canonical also working for them. They're a really cool company. Yeah, I mean, what Daniel has said, and I mean, we have worked with these companies in the past, but in some cases they do need this critical mass of users before putting engineering efforts into either having a port or having their app being cross-platform. Sorry, their game being cross-platform is not. It's generally a non-trivial amount of work to port games to Linux if they haven't been already. So yeah, but I mean, I think in all of this, I think the voice of users can always be heard or made heard. So in the case of Steam, I think it was a petition. Other than the work that we were doing with them, it was also a petition from users to get Steam ported to Linux. So so it's always good to see more of this initiative where users keep asking companies to bring their games to Ubuntu. This is something that can also create like critical mass for this switch.
Absolutely. Okay, here's probably the most important question of the evening. Akiva asks, can David Planella grow a mustache for the next Q&A session?
No, sorry. I think I'd be thrown out of home if I grew a mustache or a beard. Like 2-day beard is okay. Longer are not accepted here. I'm sorry.
Right. Okay, Dragon77. How much does today's Ubuntu take from Debian? Very interesting question. In fact, a lot, like most of it. Like I think it was just in the first few years of Ubuntu's existence where we weren't quite as good and didn't have quite the tools to give back fixes to Debian. Nowadays, I think it's pretty common practice and pretty standards also to learn this as a new Ubuntu developer from very early on. So I mean, it's very easy to imagine if you take a snapshot of a given package from any day, add a change to it, maybe it's even a big change, and you just look at it in a couple of weeks again, you will see that the origin, like the source of the package, has changed in the meantime. So what do you need to do? You need to update your fixes, your patch. You need to rebase it just to see if it works again. It's loads and loads of work. And today we're much better to work together with the folks at Debian. So I don't know exact numbers. We could look them up, but the huge majority of packages come from Debian, just as they are in Debian. What we do is we take the source packages. So we don't take the exact deb packages, but we rebuild everything. So we take the source, build it, and then you have the Ubuntu packages. So I don't know how much it is, but I would say at least 3/4, 80% or something. I would say are at least unmodified from Debian. I guess it's even more. Right. Next question. Where is it?
I think it's the one from Ubutastic, right?
That's right, yeah.
Is there a way, so Ubutastic is asking, is there a way to get rid of the scopes on the desktop? I feel kind of spied by them. To answer the first part of the question, yes, I think, scopes are just packages on the desktop, so you can just uninstall them. The question would be which one you want to uninstall, and we can perhaps answer you in more detail. In terms of being spied, again, I would ask which kind of information do you think this is being shared or spied? I mean, I can certainly tell you that no one is spying you on scopes. If you're concerned with a particular kind of information that's sent over the internet, then yeah, we can answer in more detail. So there's two ways to do this. If you want to make sure that there's no information, even anonymized, that's been sent over the internet for queries, you can either uninstall the scopes, or you can use the setting not to do online searches. So that'd be my take.
Yeah. what David said. Okay, we have another question from Yossarian UK. Can Ubuntu have a Nvidia latest package that is rolling release and always the latest version, as Nvidia latest package is not the latest? Having the latest version is very important for gaming. You could always have older versions also. This is a question for Alberto Milone. I think we're usually pretty quick to update the packages. I'm not quite sure which release you're running. Like, what's hard for us is that for a given stable release, we change drivers and everything. That's hard to do for us because what used to work for somebody today is broken tomorrow just because we just push the latest drivers in. So that's no option for us. You could try it. You could have a look and see if it's fixed in Vivid, so the current development release. That might be an option. Or you could join the Ubuntu-X channel and ask your question there. So to summarize, I think we're usually pretty good to have the latest in the development release at least.
All right. So next one, I think, is from Mika68.
Yep.
What is the state of tools for developing Ubuntu Touch apps with Golang? Oh, another good question. So right now we can actually write. You can actually write apps with Go. We've got, if you start Qt Creator, the IDE for the Ubuntu SDK, you'll find a template for writing a Go app. So in terms of tools, we're doing pretty good. Where perhaps there's still a bit of a gap is in terms of documentation, which is something that we could probably improve upon.
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry, I was just a bit preoccupied scanning everything for the next question, but I found it. Dragon77. I know about click packaging, and it is awesome. I would agree. But will Debian packaging ever be made simpler? Hopefully as simple as click packaging. So, I think both have their pros and cons. Like, of course, Debian packaging is a bit harder to learn and a bit harder to get right. But what you should forget is this is what we use to build an operating system, like stuff like library names, like symbols of libraries that change over time, stuff that propagates through the build into other packages. That's nothing that you can totally automate like click packages. What we did for click packages was to have a long look at what software does and how we assume it to work, and we just narrowed it down to make click very, very simple. And I don't think that for Debian packaging we're going to get to the same level of simplicity very quickly. But on the other hand, Debian packaging got loads and loads easier. For example, if you know a bit about how Debian packages work, you have a look at Debian rules, for example. That's a make file. In the past, it wasn't quite easy to write. You had to remember which dev helper tools to call in the right order and everything. That's much easier nowadays. If you have questions about packaging, or if you want to learn more about it, have a look at packaging Ubuntu.com. We even translated it into a whole host of languages. And if you have any more questions, just let us know. Okay, question from Akiva. Would you want to move from short-term releases to a rolling release to make development easier, but still keep the LTS? I'm not quite sure. The question would be like, which problem do we want to solve? Do we want to um, get our code to users faster? Like, what is the problem we're trying to solve? Um, yeah, I don't know what we would by doing this. On the phone, like we already have this working, like we have something like a rolling release, and I think it works just fine for us. Right. So I just muted Dave because he was typing all the time, and we could hear the typing all the time.
Sorry, I was being pinged.
Yeah, what I'm going to do next is just kick him out, right? Okay. There was a question from Chris earlier, but it was in German. It was a question about the software center. Yeah, the software center just received bug fixes in the last time. That was because we were focusing on the click story and having something like a scope where you can easily search available software, and where we could also have stuff like aggregator scopes. I don't know what the newest word for it is. Basically, pull results from various data sources. So we could show stuff like click packages, step packages, and maybe other stuff. Show that all in the same view. That's a concept which really works well for scopes, and it wouldn't be that easy to do for something like Software Center. So that's the reason why. And the last time Software Center just received bug fixes, basically. Question from Makiva. Maybe you can answer that, Dave. What core apps need the most work? Like, where do we need more hands on deck?
So right now, as I said in the beginning, DocViewer is a good candidate because we've only got Stefano working on it. And then also we're doing reboots of a couple of apps. Reboot is essentially a redesign of the generally the UI, the backend standards stay the same, but yeah, we've got a weather app weather app reboot and calculator app reboot going on. So I'd say perhaps then yeah, a DocViewer, weather app, and calculator would be good ones to start working on. All right, we're running out of time, so I'll just pick the next question and try to answer quickly. From Valer Madev, question: will it be possible to write applications in 100% C++ without QML JavaScript? Yes, definitely. That's already possible right now. I'm not sure if we've got that many with pure C++, but as an example, the Reminders app is all of the backend is done in C++. That's quite a bunch of code. Only that we're using QML for the UI. We could theoretically still use C++ for the UI, but it makes it a lot easier to use QML. All right, so I think we're doing pretty well.
Yeah, I think we get to the end of questions. There's just the suggestion about trolling releases. Maybe we should mention that one to Rick.
Yeah, I think the last question. I think it's Akiva trying to troll a bit.
Yeah.
So he's asking when will Amazon complete the canonical purchase? Will you guys be moved to a different area? Well, I'm pretty certain that it's something that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I think last April 1st it was Facebook who was supposed to buy Ubuntu for $1 billion or something. We're not that cheap, you know that.
Exactly.
All right, I think that's it. Oh no, this is a good one. Akiva asked when the next Ubuntu Online Summit is going to be. Just real quick, Ubuntu Online Summit is where all of us developers get together, where we discuss all the subjects and new features for the next couple of months. We do this in Hangouts, just like today. And the next one is going to be, if I remember correctly, quick check the calendar real quick. I think it's from the 5th to the 7th of May. So just about 8 weeks. And you're all invited. Like, if you have crazy ideas, new suggestions, stuff you want to bring up, this is a really good time because you're going to get to know all the developers working on it, and that's also going to be your chance to get involved. So much for Online Summit.
Cool. A very nice wrap-up, I think, to talk about the Online Summit.
Yeah, we need to do some planning for it still, but rest assured, will be done by May. All right. Anything else from you, Dave?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I actually wanted to talk a bit more about MWC, but we've had so many questions, which is also always good that we didn't have time this time. But I'm sure that we can mention it on or do a summary on the next Q&A.
Yeah, we should make it the MWC special and invite, who was it? Like the desktop team manager? Who else? What did people want to see? Something about APIs? We're just going to invite all of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant. All right.
Then.
Thanks, everyone. I had a great time, and see you, I don't know, maybe in a week or something.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.